They said his words could bend metal and melt hearts, that he could charm dragons and silence wars with a whisper. But what they didn't know, what no one saw, was that Prince Auren's silver tongue came at a terrible cost. He could never speak the truth of his own heart. In the kingdom of Velmyra, where Tailies danced through moonlit halls and poetry was more precious than gold, Auren was beloved. His speeches stirred the spirit. His lullabies healed the sleepless. His declarations brought peace among rival kingdoms. From the time he was 10, he was called the Silver-Tongued Prince, and courtiers from every realm would travel for days just to hear him speak, but alone, behind the thick curtains of his royal chamber, Auren would sit by the window, tracing his breath into the glass, wishing aching to be heard not for how he spoke, but for who he truly was. His gift, you see, had become a cage. Whenever he tried to speak plainly, without beauty, without charm, his voice would vanish. His lips would part, but nothing would come. His truth, it seemed, had no voice in a world that only wanted magic. He didn't remember when the gift first appeared. Some said a fairy kissed his cradle. Others claimed a cursed scroll was read too close to his crib. Whatever the origin, it did not matter. What mattered was that Auren began to forget the sound of his own honest words. Then came the girl. Her name was Mirelle. She arrived in Velmyra as part of a peace delegation from the mountain kingdom of Neroth, a place known for blunt truth and fierce loyalty. She was not like the others. When Auren greeted her with one of his practiced monologues, elegant, flawless, she did not swoon, she frowned. "Pretty words," she said, "but I'd rather hear what you actually feel." It was the first time anyone had said that to him. He tried to laugh it off. "I feel honored to meet you," he said, voice as golden as summer wine. She raised a brow. "You feel... or you're just saying that?" Auren's smile faltered. Over the next few days, Mirelle avoided the royal gatherings and the feasts. Instead, she wandered the palace gardens, sketching trees and whispering to birds. Auren found himself drawn to her, helplessly. One evening, he found her sitting beneath the moonflowers, charcoal on her fingers, smudges on her cheeks. "Why do you avoid?" "The court?" he asked, just shrugged. "Too many masks. Too many people talking without saying anything." He sat beside her. "And what would you rather hear? Silence? Or honesty?" he wanted so desperately to tell her. About the weight he carried. About the loneliness of always being adored, never understood. He opened his mouth and nothing came out. She looked at him. "What is it?" He shook his head, blinking back the sting in his eyes. "Nothing," but she saw it. Mirelle, in her quiet, mountain-born honesty, saw right through him. And she didn't press. She simply sat beside him, humming a tune that had no words. In the days that followed, they became inseparable. Auren showed her hidden gardens, old libraries, secret passages beneath the palace. She showed him how to find peace and stillness. She never asked for his speeches, his songs, his clever turns of phrase. In her presence, he found something terrifying and beautiful, the desire to be real. And then came the night of the Great Assembly. A threat loomed on the borders, rebels demanding land, vowing war if unheard. The kingdom waited for Auren's words to calm the storm. The king, growing old and tired, placed a trembling hand on his son's shoulder. "It's time, Auren. Speak to them. Save Velmyra again." Auren stood before the crowd. Thousands watched, breath held. Behind him, his father. In the balcony, Mirelle, he opened his mouth and nothing came. Panic surged. He tried again. His mind searched for poetic lines, for verses, and rhymes and enchanting phrases, but all he wanted was to say, "I'm afraid. I don't know what's right anymore," but that truth had no melody. It had no charm. It was raw. And rawness had no place in a silver tongue. He turned toward Mirelle. She met his gaze and slowly mouthed, "Speak anyway." So he did. No music. No flourishes, just a trembling voice. "I don't know if I can fix this. I'm scared. I'm tired of pretending. I want to help, but not with borrowed words. I want to listen. I want to feel. I want to live." A murmur swept the assembly. At first, confusion, then stillness. Auren stood, vulnerable, waiting to be scorned, but then a farmer in the crowd called out, "Let him speak this way." And another, better this than empty beauty. Then applause, roaring, thunderous applause, the curse, if curse it was, began to lift that day. Auren's words, still lovely, became more real, and Mirelle? She stayed. Not because of the prince's voice, but because she had finally heard his heart. Years later, when Auren became king, he was still called the silver-tongued prince by some. But to those who knew him best, he was simply Auren the king who spoke truth even when it trembled, and when asked what saved the kingdom that day, he would always answer, "Not my words," but her silence that listened.